Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be discussing some of the changes that Apple has planned for the upcoming rumored 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros. The next set of upgrades are going to be very exciting. The new upgrades are really exciting, not only because the design is expected to update so that the new devices are more in line in terms of design to the new iPhones and the iPads, but also because it's rumored to bring back some of these ports, which is why I have these two laptops here. This is the 2019 M1 MacBook Air, and this is a Razer Blade 15. Both laptops that I use intimately and I'm very familiar with. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to see an upcoming review of this device and a comparison between these two. But right now I have them set up here just to show you what difference a few ports can make in the life of someone who lives mostly in the cloud and generally doesn't ever need to use ports. Let's get into the video. Okay, so next year, we're expecting a new 14-inch upgrade to the MacBook Pro and a 16-inch upgrade to the MacBook Pro. Both are expected to bring back the famous Magsafe charging port. They're supposed to keep the new USB Type-C ports that are in all of Apple's Mac lineup right now, and also bring the design more in line with the iPad and iPhones. This means thinner bezels and more squared-off design. One thing that Apple might omit in their next set of MacBooks is the touch bar, which has been a point of contention for Mac devices for a while now. Some of the lower-end Mac entries didn't include the touch bar before, and a lot of people preferred to use physical keys instead of the touch bar. For many of us, it seemed like an unnecessary change, and if you're someone who types a lot or who works as a developer, then the importance of the all-important escape key can't be understated. We use that very frequently on our day-to-day work. Replacing it with an LCD one made it very difficult to have a great keyboard experience on a Mac device. We know that prior to that redesign that introduced the touch bar, the 2014-2015 line of MacBook Pros and MacBook Pro Retinas, Apple's keyboard game was very strong. They were above everyone else in terms of keyboard quality, practicality, design, and reliability. The changes they brought in with the butterfly keyboard and the touch bar made it so that instead of adding convenience to people's lives, it took it away for thinness and essentially a cool factor. Not many people I knew were a big fan of the touch bar, and going back on that to provide a consistent keyboard experience for everyone, I think is the right choice. So that's enough about the keyboard. Let's talk about the ports. As you can see, this MacBook Air only has the two USB Type-C ports on this side, and on this side it has a headphone jack. At least they still have those. And that's all you can really get on the 13-inch MacBook Air. The 13-inch MacBook Pro entry-level ones also only have 2 ports, and some of the higher-end models have 4 ports. The 13-inch has up to 4 ports. The 16-inch MacBook Pro also has 4 ports, and they're all USB Type-C. This means you have to live the dongle life. Whenever you wanted to plug something in here that didn't have USB Type-C, you were kind of stuck, just using a dongle that you needed to add on to this or carry around with you. So whatever bulk they got rid of by getting rid of all the other ports, they brought back from external devices. And that probably also increased their profit margins quite a bit because they sold those accessories too. But I guess they understand that there's going to be a lot of inconveniences that are introduced by having these thin devices with only a single type of port. They're starting to bring back some of those ports. And what we're expecting to see brought back are HDMI ports for video out, and more importantly, the Magsafe port that made the MacBooks famous in its earlier days. It's a very convenient charging port because, one, it's magnetic, so you don't have to think about putting it on. You just throw it on there and it clicks on. And if someone trips on the cable, it's not going to take your laptop flying with it. The cable just disconnects. Microsoft has put a similar technology in their Surface devices, which I've used for quite a few years, and they're a godsend. You can just plug it in, it works. So I'm hoping that when Apple brings back the Magsafe charging, they bring it back in a way that's at least as convenient as it was on their 2015 and earlier lineup of devices. But I also think that because of the new Magsafe tech that they have in the new iPhone 12s, these ports are actually going to be more than just for charging. Who knows, you might finally be able to charge your iPhone using Magsafe from your laptop. Just a thought. We'll have to wait till they release this stuff to find out. But more importantly, the convenience of the ports can't really be understated. I've used this device and I've used this device, and most of the time when I take this into the lab and I have to plug it in, I don't have to fumble with a lot of ports. This is a Razer Blade 15 and it has a USB Type-C port right here too. But because I don't need to always use that, I can plug in my keyboard, my mouse, and my 2 external monitors just by using all of the other ports that are on this device. I don't have to fumble around, think about what adapter is going to work and what adapter isn't. And all I have to do is carry around this one device with me and I can just plug it in. This thing is convenient in the sense that because you're using one type of port, the dongle means you can have everything connected to the dongle and throw it in. But a lot of the ports don't have the same compatibility that you would want to be able to use all of your devices together. So you have to watch out for that too. And that just drives up the cost of owning a device with a limited selection of ports. You either buy a dongle or you buy USB Type-C compatible external devices, which can cost a premium over their non-USB Type-C counterparts. And even though it's been a few years since Apple's done this and USB Type-C accessories have become more common, a lot of manufacturers are still producing devices that use the older micro USB or USB-A standard. I mean, look at the camera I'm recording this on. I'm recording on the Sony ZV-1 and it still charges via micro USB and not USB Type-C. The uptake of USB Type-C devices probably hasn't been as quick as Apple predicted it would be when they switched the design. So they're rolling that back. Alongside the touch bar changes and the ports changes, we're also going to see new CPUs. And this is a very interesting one. We know that the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro Apple Silicon models, the M1s, are very powerful. They have 4 high efficiency and 4 high performance cores. And even with that, it's able to compete, if not beat, some of the Intel mobile chip counterparts and also stay toe-to-toe or even beat out some AMD equivalents. Obviously, Apple doesn't produce its own MacBooks running AMD chips, so a lot of the performance numbers that you see online aren't one-to-one because you're comparing different types of laptops with different thermal designs, but the Apple Silicon MacBook Air and MacBook Pro run just fine. With the new devices coming out in the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, rumor has it that those devices are going to go up to 16 high-performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores. Why are the high-efficiency cores not going up? Well, that's the whole point of high-efficiency cores. When you're using the laptop in a portable mode, the high-efficiency cores kick in so that they sip on power when you're doing non-demanding tasks. And you don't need a lot of cores if you're doing tasks that don't demand a lot of power. So there's no reason why you'd waste silicon space putting in more high-efficiency cores. So this is pretty convincing. Seeing what the performance we can get out of 4 high-performance cores on the MacBook Air and the 13-inch MacBook Pro, I am very curious what level of performance we're going to be able to get up to the 16-core model. And let's say that comes on the 16-inch MacBook Pro. Are we going to get Mac Pro level performance or iMac Pro level performance on those devices for the workloads that can use them? For things like code compiling or video rendering, these tasks can be highly parallel, and having more cores means that your productivity will shoot way up, because instead of waiting for, let's say, 10 minutes, because you have 4 times the number of cores, you might wait for 3 minutes instead for your rendering to finish or your code to compile so that you can test new features. For most of us, those kinds of productivity benefits is what's going to switch us from other manufacturers to this. And the other big thing is obviously compatibility. I'm still stuck to using this laptop right here for school and work, mainly because it has an NVIDIA GPU inside. But as soon as compatibility is sorted out for all of the things I need it for, this can become my next upgrade. It's a thin and light, and it has very close performance for day-to-day tasks when you compare it to my Razer Blade 15. We'll have to see what happens. Comment down below what you want to see in the new MacBooks that Apple's going to come out with, and what you think of them reintroducing ports. I hope they do it. I really like having ports on my devices, as long as it doesn't sacrifice battery life for me. I mean, putting in ports takes up more space internally, so battery life might sacrifice a bit. But considering how efficient Apple's chips are, they could probably get away with slightly smaller batteries if it means that they can throw more features on their devices. Let me know what you think of that. If you like this discussion, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. But other than that, that's it from me today. And remember to always keep learning. Bye-bye.